we're often taught to think of love as this final destination, aren't we?
Yeah.
You find the one and boom, everything just settles. Life becomes this perfectly soft blanket, constant comfort.
It's a really nice picture of that narrative.
Yeah.
Very seductive. But honestly, chasing that comfort, that's often what steers us wrong, away from what's actually real. Because if you look at relationships that really last, the ones that thrive, genuine love isn't some gentle endpoint. It's demanding. It's almost revolutionary in a way.
Demanding how?
It forces you to keep growing. It demands painful compromises sometimes, real vulnerability, patience, and just constantly trying to be better. It's built on reality, not fantasy.
Okay, right. Let's dig into that tension then.
Yeah.
Because that gap,
Yeah.
the difference between the comfy blanket idea and the tough reality you're talking about, that's where all the confusion comes in, isn't it?
Exactly.
We mistake that shiny, intense feeling of infatuation for, like, destiny.
Infatuation is great at pretending. It wears this mask of urgency, like this is it, it's fate, and that confusion. It can lead to years wasted. Clinging to something that looks right but is fundamentally an illusion instead of actually building something solid.
So today's deep dive, this is really about a kind of self-inventory for you listening.
That's the goal. We want to map out maybe 6 key ways to tell the difference between a bond that's just built on illusion and one that's grounded in that difficult but ultimately sustaining truth.
And part of that is finding the courage, maybe, to admit when the story you've been telling yourself just isn't working out anymore.
Precisely, when it's time for a rewrite.
Okay. So where do we start? Most illusions seem to begin with speed, right? That feeling of acceleration. Let's call it the speed trap.
A good name for it?
Infatuation feels like a high-speed chase. It's all momentum, illusion. You blow past every yellow light because it feels so good, so right.
So exhilarating, like you've skipped all the boring bits and jumped straight to the happy ending.
Yeah.
But think about true intimacy. The nature of it just dictates a slow build. Love really has to take its time.
Like building something physical.
Exactly, like pouring concrete. You have to build it layer by layer, brick by brick. You have to let that foundation cure, right? Give the relationship time to actually handle small stresses, everyday stuff.
If you rush that curing time.
The whole thing's unstable. It'll crack under pressure.
And I think we've all been there, haven't we? That feeling after like 3 weeks where you're just convinced.
Oh, absolutely.
Spending every day together, maybe planning a big trip months down the line, or introducing them to your family way too soon.
They basically skipped the getting to know you stage in your head and jumped right into the future spouse category.
Totally.
And what's really going on there psychologically, it's fascinating. When a relationship moves that fast, you're often not connecting with the actual person in front of you.
You're connecting with an idea.
Your projection of them, yeah. Your own sort of emotional checklist. You fill in all the blanks yourself because the speed hasn't allowed any of the messy, real, maybe contradictory details to actually surface yet.
And moving that fast means you miss the real building moments.
Like what?
Like the arguments about whose turn it is to do the dishes, or that awkward run-in with an ex, or just a boring Sunday doing laundry together. The real-life friction.
Right. The points where trust is actually built. Quietly, slowly.
Yeah.
And if you skipped all that because you were too busy dreaming about a future that hasn't even happened, well, that dream becomes the foundation.
So why should you care if it feels good in the moment?
Because that foundation, the one built purely on a dream, it's going to shatter the second reality, asks for a compromise that doesn't fit neatly into that perfect fantasy.
Which leads us right into the next trap, doesn't it? The perfection trap. It connects directly to that speed issue.
It really does.
If you move too fast, you don't leave any room for flaws to just show up naturally.
Yeah.
So you kind of accidentally set this expectation that your partner has to be perfect.
We love the idea of soulmates, right? It sounds so romantic, but it's actually, well, it's almost anti-human. It sets an impossible standard.
How so?
Because infatuation needs perfection to keep going. It's like this delicate, beautiful idol you've put up on a pedestal that's already crumbling.
Okay, paint a picture. What does that pressure look like in reality?
It means you might expect them to always be impressive, always look perfect, always say the right thing, always have their career totally together, no off days allowed.
But wait a minute. Shouldn't we have some standards? We want someone who's kind, successful, attractive. Where is the line between healthy standards and demanding flawlessness?
That's a really important distinction. Healthy standards are usually about consistent actions, right? How they treat you, showing respect, being committed, things they do.
Uh,
Demanding perfection is more about who they are. The moment they show a real flaw, maybe they get insecure about money, or they fail at something big, or they just have an ugly moment of self-doubt.
the pedestal cracks.
Exactly. The infatuation breaks because they stopped being the perfect idol and started being, well, human.
You're not giving them any space to be messy or complicated or just emotionally honest about things they struggle with.
Precisely. Whereas grounded, real love, it expects imperfection. It embraces it even. The relationship isn't some static picture. It's more like a joint project.
A work in progress.
Yeah, where both partners see the bad stuff, they work through it together collaboratively, and they enjoy the good stuff together too. That vulnerability, that's actually where the strength comes from.
That idea of vulnerability, it's a perfect bridge to the third sign, the wall.
Mm-hmm.
When we first meet someone, we're all armored up, right? Trying so hard to make a good impression, terrified of saying the wrong thing.
Definitely. Carefully curated.
But when real love starts to grow, something shifts.
Yeah.
It's almost physical. You can finally, I don't know, let loose a bit.
Mm.
You stop caring so much about maintaining that perfect front.
That ability to take off the armor, that signals you feel safe. You feel like you belong.
Okay.
So conversely, if you find yourself consistently holding back your struggles, your fears, even small secrets, you're actively building a wall. You're preventing your partner from really seeing you, all of you.
And we're not just talking about huge traumas here, are we? It could be smaller things.
Absolutely. Maybe you downplay financial stress, or you minimize a fight with your family, or hide that you're feeling like a failure at work because you're scared they'll judge you or reject you.
You're basically denying them the chance to love the real you,
Yeah.
the messy you.
Exactly right. If you're not sharing those uncomfortable, maybe even shame-filled parts of yourself, then you haven't fully loved, and you haven't really allowed yourself to be fully loved either.
Wow.
That unwillingness to share your whole reality, it points to a lack of connection that you just can't make up for with fun dates or intense passion.
Mhm.
If that wall stays up, the relationship is stuck on the surface.
So if that mental emotional wall is always there,
Yeah.
always being reinforced, what does that do to the actual physical connection? That seems to lead us to the next sign. It's kind of clustered together.
Yeah.
The drift.
The drift. Look, stable, loving relationships understand that the initial, blinding passion, it naturally tapers off. That intensity changes. It becomes more like comfortable companionship.
Right.
But the desire for proximity, just wanting to be near your partner, that usually stays pretty frequent. When the drift starts happening, that fundamental desire changes.
Okay, so this is where we need to look for real, tangible evidence. Specific stuff.
Right. Ask yourself, are you finding more and more reasons to get away lately?
Like canceling plans.
Yeah, frequently canceling small plans. Not because something major came up, but because, honestly, you'd rather be anywhere else. With friends, family, even just alone watching TV.
Ouch.
It's like your internal compass is shifting direction. If it's constantly pointing away from your partner, something fundamental is off.
Yeah.
We sometimes joke about the cat test, but it's actually quite revealing.
Or cat test.
Yeah, if you genuinely rather hang out with your pet than your partner on a regular basis, you're choosing the simpler connection, the less demanding one. You're opting for convenience over commitment.
And along with that physical distance, there's a mental drift too.
Right. Definitely. In healthy partnerships, there's focus, attention. Partners notice the little things about each other. They show active concern, curiosity, especially when there's conflict, even minor stuff.
But when you start drifting mentally,
You stop putting in that effort. You start actively avoiding the tough conversations. Maybe you check out during arguments or even physically leave the room because you just can't be bothered to invest the energy needed to sort things out.
you're basically deprioritizing them, signaling that the effort required just isn't worth the connection anymore.
Your heart's checking out, and your mind isn't far behind.
And that lack of effort, that checking out, it brings us to the last sign, maybe the most undeniable one, because your body forces you to pay attention.
Our minds are incredible rationalizers, aren't they?
Oh yeah, we can spin amazing stories about why we're unhappy or distant or avoiding conflict.
But our bodies, they don't tell stories like that. They just keep score. This is what we call the body's reckoning.
Okay, so shifting focus now to how this stuff shows up physically. Hidden emotional conflict. A lot of people feel trapped in a relationship that's not right, but they can't quite put their finger on why or figure out how to leave.
So look for signs of chronic, unexplained anxiety manifesting physically. Are you having persistent issues like digestive problems, headaches, trouble sleeping that just won't go away?
Hmm.
There's a lot of discussion in psychology about how emotional truths we suppress or run from can actually somatize, meaning the body starts expressing the stress the mind is desperately trying to ignore.
It's like a physical alarm bell screaming, hey, something's wrong. There's a core truth here you really need to deal with.
Exactly. You dread having that difficult conversation, you dread delivering the bad news, and that fear starts showing up as real physical discomfort, pain, exhaustion.
So that anxiety, it's basically the body trying to communicate something the mind refuses to face.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And the philosophical takeaway here is pretty stark. Trying to force love where it isn't, ignoring these physical warnings, it just delays the inevitable hurt and often makes it worse for everyone involved.
You can only run from the truth for so long.
Eventually, it catches up, sometimes in a very literal, physical sense.
Wow. Okay. So wrapping this all up, what does this mean for you listening right now, doing this self-inventory?
Well, I think the main takeaway is that love requires courage, real courageous work. It takes guts to commit, to show up day after day, to compromise, to share your real self.
But
But recognizing an illusion, a fantasy you built too fast, one that demands perfection, one that keeps you hidden behind a wall, that takes an even harder kind of courage, a more brutal kind, maybe.
the courage of self-honesty.
That's it. So the challenge is this. When you look really closely at your relationship right now,
Not through the fantasy lens.
no, not through the hope of what it could be someday, but through the lens of actual reality, of vulnerability, of honest presence. What truth is your distance revealing? What are your walls telling you? What is your body trying to say?
What's the most painful, necessary conversation you're avoiding right now because you're scared of the fallout?
That's the question. Facing that question honestly, that's the real work. It might be more important than trying to fix anything. It's about finding the guts to face that single defining truth.